You're live. I'm live. Am I live? I'm live. Is that live? I believe it. Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna check here because just making sure I didn't have like two live stream things going on at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Star Wars. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. Sorry. I'm just gonna. Sorry, I thought I had it all worked out, but maybe I'll just do that later. I'll just do that later. Can't delete that. Okay, yeah, I'll just handle that. Okay, starting round 5 was the goal. The first time I tried going live, I don't know, it froze or something was giving me something weird, so then I just started over, and now it seems to be working. So, anywho's it? All right. Yeah, second live stream. I'm gonna try and make this a weekly, Monday thing. See how that goes. Just kind of a time that I have available, so why not? But yeah. Right, so topic for today's no. Let's stay on that tab. Okay. Thank you very much. I was thinking just to kind of keep it light, not lighter, but a little more focused, I guess. The last one was just a test, just to see how much I could riff. I guess I did an hour and a half last time. I think I'm going to keep it to an hour this time, or from now on, at least till it's like, especially while it's still small. If it stays small, just then it's mostly me just going off other things and going off whatever my brain. So more than an hour is, I think, too much. So, but yeah, so that's why I thought I'd do Star Wars. I was gonna do other stuff, and then I was like, nah, let's just let's get just more comfortable doing the live stream thing, and so I went with Star Wars, and it's something I can kind of riff on for a while, and it's kind of back in the news again because, um, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, the president of 14 years of Lucasfilm, is retiring, is leaving. And that's official now. After many false alarms, or false rumors, false claims, it's official, and she's stepping down. Well, okay. Why don't we can talk about? So I got a couple kind of main topics to help me kind of stay on track and kind of fill the time a little bit easier. So yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, reflect on her tenure, reflect on her time at Lucasfilm. It's a oh my goodness, I don't know, it's so grainy. It's got to be because of the lighting. I really gotta get the main bulbs working again in this room. And if I bring this closer, can't go any closer. I kind of can. A little bit closer. That better? A little less grainy? No, I think I really need to get the proper lights going. Anyway, won't worry too much about that right now. It's not too grainy when I'm this close, is it? I don't know. But I don't want to stay this close. So it's okay. We'll just yeah, where was I? Yes, her time at Lucasfilm. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, we'll just yeah, doing it anyway. Yeah. Well, I remember when Lucasfilm was first sold. I was not paying too much attention because I was in college and was just busy with other things. I didn't kind of get back into focus, like paying attention to what was going on in Star Wars realm till a few years after that. And I guess when the first movie came out under Disney, that's kind of when I started to pay attention again, because how could you not? Right? It was everywhere, and what a splash it made, for good or ill. And yeah, Um, so brain fog, just rebooting. Um, yeah, and you know, I guess the whole thing around Kathleen Kennedy, probably a lot of people are that weren't happy with Disney's their handling of Star Wars, probably happy with Kennedy leaving. Um, my thoughts on it. What are my thoughts on it? It's a lot of things. First off, I think she kind of like, like prime minister or president of a country, a lot of the decisions that seem like they're coming from them are coming by committees actually, or other people entirely, other interests. And but every big, organization needs a figurehead or someone to, the way our brains work, we can't really we use one person as shorthand for when we're talking about this person, put this policy forward and blah blah blah. It's a lot more of a pain to be like there. The say like the Obama government or the Obama administration. We just like to say Obama did this, Obama did that, and it's not really realistic or fair. But that's kind of how our brains work. That's how we work. Uh, so with Kathleen Kennedy, I think it's always hard to know exactly what she was and wasn't super responsible for, or hands-on with, or whatever. Um, and again, people need someone to blame. No, people, I think, that are negative towards the recent stuff are pretty. They're negative towards Disney as a whole, as well as how Lucasfilm's been run. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Disney Star Wars era. But I don't know, and then people will say, well, Kennedy was actually appointed under George Lucas. Now, saying, oh well, maybe he was betrayed because he felt like he could trust her, and it turns out he couldn't, or something. Because then she went and said, oh no, we have nothing. We have no extra books and lore and shows and games and whatnot to base stories off of. We have to a clean slate, which was totally untrue, and that upset a lot of people. Because they probably just said that because they want to do their own thing, which is not cool. Because it's like, well, you might be fooling a few very casual people, but for all the hardcore fans, they know that's BS, and you don't want to BS your hardcore fans because they'll always see through it, and those are the people that are gonna be most devout fans. So Disney definitely just did a terrible job at respecting the fan base, which is always I think, and again, I don't necessarily know if it's Kathleen Kennedy or Ryan Johnson, all the people that got a lot of heat for their Disney Star Wars projects. I think it's just kind of the idea of blaming the fan base for them not liking certain, you know, media that came out under movies or whatever that came out under that franchise, one franchise or another, the fans of that franchise. I think it's more of a general move towards blaming people for not liking something versus. Hello, I have a question for you. Do you think Keanu Reeves would play a great Darth Revan? Oh, hey, first comment, Paula, 1966. Hello, Paula. I'm not sure with these things if I respond in the chat, or I mean, you're listening, so I could probably just respond this way by just responding vocally. Hello, thanks for asking. It's funny that you mentioned Keanu Reeves actually, because right before, why I'm kind of a little late actually to starting this is because I got caught watching this clickbait thing about Keanu Reeves refusing to give a lifetime achievement award to Whoopi Goldberg, and the comments are all saying like, if Keanu Reeves says you're a bad person, that's quite an indictment, because he's pretty well universally appreciated and loved. Would he make a great Darth Revan? Yeah, that's something I've seen swirling around a lot. I'd say sure, why not? I am a fan of KOTOR. I never finished the second one, but I loved the first one. I think I played it. I played it a lot. Um, and yeah, why the heck not? I mean, it is interesting why him in particular. He seems to be like the main go to, I guess, for people if they're thinking of casting. I think maybe just because he gives off a Jedi-like kind of wise, sagely meditative but he's also extremely acrobatic and skilled in fighting technique and combat. With like the Matrix and then John Wick and everything. So I think that's probably it. It's people think like I feel well, he's an easy pick because people like him a lot. He's very well liked, so that's a great bonus there, and he could pull off whatever he had to pull off physically, um, and he just yeah, we've seen him in roles where he could very much look great, like long flowing haired Jedi kicking butt. Yeah, I think and actually, because Revan at times, depending on how you play the game, can go bad or is bad, and then he forgets his memory. But like, Keanu Reeves, I actually saw him in a movie called Man of Tai Chi, which is a very unknown movie, at least as far as I'm aware. I haven't heard anyone ever talk about it. I'd recommend it. It's great. He plays a villain. I've never seen him play a villain before, and I think he does a fantastic job. It was chilling and does some great. They turned Tai Chi into kind of, which isn't really a fighting kind of. It's more meditative and for easy, easy on the bones and joints kind of exercise. But they turned it into kind of like a fighting style thing in the movie, and which is really cool. The whole movie I thought was just fresh and cool and fun, and he did a great job as a villain. So I guess in that aspect too, depending on how they would do the Reverend thing, whether he does go back to the dark side or the light side, I think yeah, I guess it makes sense why he seems to be the main pick for everybody. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess at the same time, who would I pick as Revan besides Keanu Reeves? Um, I want to say Tom Hardy just because I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan and saying, let him play everything. I'd be happy with that. But no, if we're being realistic here, I mean, he's also very great physicality wise. But in terms of like technique, in terms of fighting style and the stuff, the acrobatics and the yeah, no, I think Keanu Reeves basically takes the cake. I guess. Thanks for the question. Yeah, no, I think it'd be great. I mean, that kind of, I guess, yeah. People are screaming for Knights of the Old Republic, anything, TV show, movie. Will they do it? I mean, I guess that kind of leads into one of the other things. It was kind of like the Kathleen Kennedy leaving, and then bringing in Dave Filoni, and then I forget her name, Lin Brennan as the co-presidents. Um, um, well, maybe I kind of want to respond just like kind of like first time for everything. Yes, that would be freaking dope. Um, I was gonna say, yes. The whole thing for me is, even if the president leaves, I don't know how much impact that has on the overall quality of things because it's owned. Star Wars is owned by a mega corporation now, and they are all about just maximizing profits, which is why you got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show being made for pittance, for peanuts. And then you got other shows, The Acolyte and Andor make way higher budgets, and people are so confused by this. But what I think is because I think, rightly assumed people would just watch the Kenobi show, at least give it a shot, regardless of the budget, because they're fan favorite characters in it. And so if they're caring only about not lasting enjoyment, looking back, was it actually good? They don't care about that. They're just like quarterly, how many people viewed this year? Then they're like, okay, well, where's Andor? Is unknown name. They gotta, and then the Acolyte, I guess, kind of same thing. So it got, and who knows other reasons why they were negotiating bigger budget. I don't know, but that's kind of I've heard a lot of people be like, I don't understand. Like are they just total ignoramuses there? And it's like, no, they're looking at, okay, the stuff we can afford to have lower budgets on are the ones that most like we don't really, they'll sell themselves. We just say it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, people will watch it. Unfortunately, that's how they think now. They don't think about lasting quality or doing justice to the characters and the story and all that stuff. So yeah, going back to your Kenobi. Yeah, I mean, again, I think she gets a lot of the flack. I don't know if she's it sucks that she would say things like, just lies, basically saying like, "Oh, we don't have any prior, content or books or whatever to base new stories on." But I think she was probably pushed by Disney to say that. I can't imagine, you know, George Lucas felt very betrayed by the whole thing, and I don't think she felt good about that. If Bob Iger felt some guilt, and he's the CEO of Disney, like, he's not a total heartless person, I guess. If he was to feel some guilt, if he was able to feel some guilt over George feeling betrayed, I'm sure Kennedy did too, but I think they have to shrug and be like, it's business. It's just business. Um, Shoot, yeah, I guess I gotta be on quicker to check in the chat. Sorry, Paula, I didn't expect you to didn't expect someone so quickly to come in and leave a comment. Um, but that's cool. First time having that happen. Um, oh man, it's a wild thing. This whole live stream. Anyway, uh, yeah. So I don't. A lot of the talk around Star Wars, I find, is always missing something. It's like I did a video on this, one of the first ones on the channel. Um, it was just my whole thing about how the Last Jedi wasn't subversive at all. It was just The Empire Strikes Back to The Force Awakens and New Hope. They're all so. It was just a soft reboot. Just remaking them. Rise of Skywalker deviated a little bit from Return of the Jedi just because it kind of had to, but it's still, I think, try to include as much stuff that could remind you of Return of the Jedi as possible. Sand planet stuff, being chased, or like, yeah, the first bit happening kind of on a desert planet. Then at the end, giant space battle and land conflict with the Emperor and you know Death Star types. They have to destroy the Death Star lasers or whatever. Like it's apparently Ewoks show up at one point. I didn't watch it because why? But yeah, it was meant to be as similar as possible. Um, and that's the power of marketing is how you get the Last Jedi marketing team to be like, oh, it's subversive. That's why people didn't like it. And to this day, that's the narrative. That's the discussion people are having around it, which I think is just totally off base. It's just Ryan Johnson even recently came out and said he's like, oh, okay, that was my empire. I had to go out and write and direct my Empire Strikes Back. Not my Star Wars movie that's like, oh, I just want to do whatever I want. It's like, no, and I think maybe that's why he responded to the criticism the way he did, because he kind of knew that he was just what's the word? He's just a paid, the word basically where it's like you're not allowed to be an auteur, you're not allowed to make any creative decisions. You're just meant to show up and do the mechanical work. Nothing necessarily that would require much creativity or anything talent, especially. You just meant to literally just go and crank the knobs and push the buttons, kind of thing. And I think Mark Hamill was very disappointed and confused, and I think he, like a lot of us, just couldn't believe that Disney was going to remake those movies so closely, because it just wouldn't make sense and it would just be so lame and boring and everything. Yeah. So, but when you look at them just literally repeating episodes 4, 5, and 6 with 7, 8, 9, how they are makes a lot of sense. You know. Um, Questions like, "Oh, why didn't they have a reunion? The old crew, Leia, Han, Luke." It's like, well, because Han had to then be split up from Leia, which makes no sense for the characters where they're at. But then Han can then be the new Obi-Wan Kenobi to Leia, who is the new Luke, and then Luke can be the new Yoda. Like they had to just put characters, in a very convoluted or very artificial way, put them into the positions of where the characters were in 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, sorry, that stuff always makes me go off on a bit of a tangent. Um, but what was some of the other stuff? Yeah, Dave Filoni coming in. Now he's gotten some hate. People used to think he was going to be the savior. Um, yes, the savior of Star Wars. Because he was George Lucas's pupil. Worked underneath him for a while and that kind of thing. And George trusted him as well. And people say, "Oh, Dave Filoni has a good grasp of Star Wars." And then he signed off on some things. He made the Ahsoka show, which was poop, and or a lot of people thought was poop, and signed off on some things for the Acolyte, which upset people. And again, I think that's just you kind of got to do that. Like, how much power do you really have to? I don't know. We don't know all the behind the scenes compromises and discussions and committees and things that were part of all these decisions. So at the same time, again, I think he's generally an open-minded, creative person. Um, I just think no matter what, I agree with people that say doesn't really matter who they have at the helm. Star Wars having or Disney having Star Wars, it's just always going to be subpar. Um, because now there's going to be so much um, extra over bloated, lawyers getting involved and the creative team and all the committees and movies by committee and all the bean counters and everything. And I mean, there was some stuff behind the scenes of, I think, when the Phantom Menace was being made. I think it was like Industrial Light and Magic had already started to swell up and get too bloated with lawyers and a lot of extra people working there that didn't need to be there, that they had to like clean house. But that's the thing, they wanted to do that, right? With Disney, I don't know how much cleaning house they are doing because it's like, it's so big that um, maybe they don't even notice how bloated a lot of these parts of the company have gotten. I don't know. But point is, um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much hope. I mean, the Grogu movie coming out, whatever, Mandalorian. I'm not gonna watch it. I have no interest. It doesn't look like it would be pissing a lot of people off or pissing me off. But it just looks like a nothing burger of a movie. Same thing with that other one. What are the upcoming? What are all the ones that are actually coming out? Not just announced, because there's a lot of announced stuff that's actually coming out. The fighter pilot, whatever it's called, Starfighter, also looks like, well, I don't know. What's the I don't know. Again, like talking about Darth Revan, yeah, that would be interesting. It would please a lot of fans. Well, a lot of them would be very afraid of you ruining the thing, so maybe that's why they're also not doing it. But it could allow for a lot of originality and just different things that we haven't seen yet. Um, yeah, Star Wars is in a tough spot where Disney just can't do too much that's original because again, it you doing the original thing would be the safe thing, I think, because then that's what people want right now, but they don't realize that. And I don't know if they can because it still feels like more of a risk than doing what they think is safe, even though that's just been losing them support and no one cares anymore. No one has any excitement. Everyone's apathetic. So I don't know, but yeah, under Disney, it's just too big. It's too conglomerated. It's too for Star Wars that was more of an uh, independent film franchise. It'll never feel that way again. Even if, I mean, you sold it to you'd have to somehow. I don't even know if is there a way for because people say, oh, what if Netflix buys it? Same issue, I think. Big company would make Star Wars feel different from how Star Wars used to feel because it was basically one guy's vision. Um, people talking about Ryan Johnson as an auteur, which makes me gag. Uh, George Lucas was an auteur, um, wrote, directed, produced, had hands in so many things and really worked with all the different aspects of it, the music and the sound design and everything. So, uh, you go from an auteur type situation to mass conglomerate, big corporation. No matter who owns it, it's gonna feel subpar, rushed, bland, whatever, pandering, unfortunately. But I still follow it. Why? Because what else do you do with your time? It's funny now. I'm checking the chat more, but I was like, oh, after that, yeah. Um, after got a comment so soon, I didn't expect it. Verters. Yeah, what was I going to talk about? Yeah, I don't know. Upcoming the games. I mean, there is that KOTOR game. There's a couple KOTOR games, right? They're remaking KOTOR, and then they're making a whole separate Old Republic game or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I really care. Maybe I'd check out the remastered one, especially if they did remaster the second one, because I think there were bugs in the second one that made it where like you couldn't finish the game or you couldn't finish it unless you did a specific thing. I can't remember. But all the other games, there's like a turn-based one set in the Clone Wars, so that's cool. I like the setting, but turn-based, I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe I'll watch some stuff on it. Maybe when it comes out, I'll check it out. I don't know. Then there's the speeder game, which at first I got excited. Then like I watched the trailer and I was like, because I was thinking it was a pod racer game, and then no, it's just speeder racing, which is less interesting to me. Pod racing feels more Star Warsy. It's more unique. The idea is that there's two like jet engines just dragging this little pit pod along so it can go faster than a normal speeder could or car or whatever, right? Because there's less weight and everything, and that's why they can go 600-700 kilometers an hour versus 300. That's more interesting to me. So the speeder thing feels like a cop out again to avoid, oh no, we don't want to do any stuff from the prequels, which is like, at this point, can you wake up and realize like a lot of the fans love the prequels? They would do great if you did stuff related to those movies, so that's what I mean. Like, it's yeah, so I saw the trailer for that and I was just like, yeah, still don't care. The Outlaws game, that's already out, and it flopped, which is, I didn't paid very little attention to that. Was there upcoming? There's that Eclipse game or whatever that they probably just put a lot of effort into the trailer and hoping that they'd get more investment into the game or whatever, because that's the state of things now, where it's like they try and hype up investors, and then if they get enough, then they continue or something, instead of just like, no, we're making it, and here's a sneak preview. So I mean, I don't care if that comes out or not either. I just, again, how they have to work with Disney and get approvals and things. And games right now, I don't know. They're in a messy place in terms of all the pigeonholing, or all the limiting things that go into what they can do right now with games. I don't know. Not that I have the time really for games. Well, I have the time to talk about the games, but yeah. So going back to Dave Filoni. Yeah, I think the people that have turned on him are a bit hard on him, not thinking about how, you know, you can only do so much when you're operating in that system. I think the true Dave Filoni shows up when he's making Tales of the Jedi. He's writing these stories on his own free time because he is a fan. He's writing them on airplane flights, apparently. In between flights, he's writing these stories, and that makes sense to me. Like the Count Dooku stuff was really cool. And then that gets picked up, and then they do it every year, and then then now that it's kind of, you're forced to do it or something, it's less creative, or they're pushing him to do certain stories. Um, yeah, and so, but that's, I think, the Dave Filoni that's always been there, is the one that on his own time is writing stories. I imagine with the Ahsoka show, again, there was probably so much committee changes, or there's probably this idea of like, no, you gotta dumb it down, you gotta simplify it, you gotta like, rewrites, do all this kind of stuff, because I think, I don't know, the high ups Disney really think that people can't handle, or they don't. They either think that the main audience can't really handle. They think they're all, like too childish or immature, or I think they're also just afraid of actually doing something that's too real, too serious, too intelligent, too scathing, too satirical, perhaps. When you're able to do your own thing, you can, like the prequels, right? You can speak to truth to power a lot more effectively. But then if you have power controlling the thing, it's not going to be too happy with you poking fun at it all too much and pointing out, you know, the issues in the world and the system. If Disney now owning Star Wars does just want it to be mindless entertainment, that's my opinion. Now people could say, well, they greenlit Andor, and that was pointing out, you know, authoritarianism and the slow build up. How oppressive authoritarianism creeps in everywhere, and the slow erosion required to kind of knock it down and everything. And it goes into like that guy with his manifesto, talking about pretty serious political, themes and ideologies and tech, strategies and things like that. Yeah, that's true. Um, I still kind of felt like it still kind of, I don't know, it could have gone further with that. I felt like they kind of mentioned it a little bit, and then I don't know. That's my kind of hot take, I guess, is like the only thing I really liked, genuinely, like, would recommend to people in terms of shows and movies in the Star Wars in the Disney era, was the Dooku stories of Tales of the Jedi. It's the only stuff I felt like was like, oh, this is bringing me back to Star Wars. Star Wars quality, it really feels like the characters the way I know them, remember them, that kind of thing. Um, the games, Battlefront 2, the sound design, the effects, everything does get me pretty immersed in Star Wars. Like, so that I played a lot of that. Um, but that's oh, actually, there was this free. I don't know why it was free, because it was actually good, but there was a story that was written recently. It was great, well done on Audible. The sound, they had sound effects. Like, what audiobook has sound effects? Anyway, it was a newer story written kind of in between episodes 1 and 2 about younger Anakin and Obi-Wan going on adventures. Anakin has to go into a pod race pretending to be someone else to, like, infiltrate a gang lord thing, or a gang, or something like that. I really like that. But again, it's because, like, I don't know, lesser known stuff they can actually, like, you um, they can go under the radar of whatever censors or whatever committees decide things need to be so contrived and appeal to some imaginary audience, or I don't know. But yeah. What's that? What's that crown? What's that? 50 XP. Top fans. I don't know. There's some kind of XP feature on YouTube streams, I guess, now. Cool. I don't know. Everything's so gamified. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I do like games myself. I mean, I Uber, and that feels very gamified, that app. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. It can go wrong. I guess anything can go wrong. So maybe in this case, gamify it a little bit is fun. I don't know where I stand on gamification of things, but um, yeah. So what is? I mean, I guess I hope with the new presidency coming in that they'll stop with like all these announced things just to get hype and then never follow through. Because then it feels like, holy Christ, well, you can never get excited for anything. Not that any of that stuff usually excited me to begin with, but you could always just feel like, I'll believe it when I see it. You don't want, that's added to the apathy, I think. The apathy came from obviously just subpar quality stuff. Not passionate, you could tell, conflicting a lot with the stuff that came before. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. So that, but also just the apathy came from, you could never trust them. You can never trust if what they say is coming out actually comes out, or whatever. Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to talk about all the things that were announced that are coming out. So what was it? The Grogu movie. Yeah, I'll sleep on that. But what is it? The Darth Maul show. I tend to like the shows more, the cartoons more. Apart from Rebels, did not like. I was bored. I was bored. But Bad Batch was okay. There were some good episodes. Overall, it was like kind of like low level Clone Wars, like kind of like the most I found like generally when Clone Wars was kind of at its worst is kind of like Bad Batch usually, but then there were some outstanding episodes. So overall, I wouldn't really recommend Bad Batch to anyone, but if you're gonna watch it, yeah, there's some good episodes in there. I think that's my take on it. But the Maul show, I'll probably watch it just because I like Darth Maul, and that's the thing, right? It's like they really cooked themselves with Star Wars. Disney did because the fans were so loyal and so immersed in that like you have people that basically hate everything you've done, but they'll still be like, I might check that out. Like it's hard to shake a Star Wars fan off the off the train. Like it's hard to throw them off completely. They're always hanging on by a pinky. And that's kind of I'm hanging on by a pinky, I guess. Um, it's just such a sad state too that it's like there's more engagement with people complaining about Star Wars shows or movies or content than, or like, no, sorry, not even that. There's more engagement. Like I've watched more minutes of people talking about news and controversy and scandal and drama going on with Star Wars, whether it's like, oh, this director got fired or this thing got canned. I've watched more stuff on that than actual like Disney era content, I feel like. And that's sad. That's just sad. That sucks, you know? So yeah, I mean, you can hold out hope that they're gonna swing the ship around and be like, okay, this isn't working for nobody, so let's actually you know, can we do a little right by the fans, I guess. I think that is kind of changing in general. There was like a 5-year period where business corporations just and franchise owners, they just said to hell basically with the fans. We're gonna just do what we want, and yeah, that only goes so far. That's only gonna go so far. So I think there's always a tug of war, a back and forth of if you try one thing, um, after a while, especially if it's really not going well. I guess that's the thing. It just wasn't paying off. Um, it was just pissing people off, alienating people checking out. You know, not a good business model. Not that it's always that thing where it's like you get people that always have to say the caveat like, I understand their business and they have to make money, and you're like, oh, that's also kind of a problem. George Lucas would make stuff even if it was losing money. He had the right thinking. That's why I like the guy. He's like, I'm gonna just, I think for a lot of the stuff, he's like, you do it because you think you want it to be out there. You don't do it for the money. And that's a true artist right there. That's why artists are poor. That's why a lot of them are. More so with AI. Yay. AI. That's the thing, right? With Star Wars. It's like now Disney's buying up this AI generating things, so people making Star Wars AI stuff is not gonna have to pay Disney. That's I think honestly, I feel like the mall show is gonna be like the last thing that like I'm like, are they gonna even make anything not AI like in next year? Like, like after Mall and like Ahsoka season 2 might not even happen. Like why would they even? Like do you know what I mean? Like they could either just make the stuff that people are making with AI, they could work with Disney and make some stuff like visions, like short stories, you know. Um, and then they could also just let the fans make. And I'm like, would I even be against that? I don't know. I find myself watching some of the AI stuff, and yeah, it's clunky at times, but I do watch it with a bit of like, hmm, kind of like, you know. I don't get that way with actual Disney produced Star Wars stuff. So it would be sad that we are already at this place where it's like Disney's like, we're not going to make stuff anymore, you know? But isn't that kind of the dream for a lot of fans, is letting the fans just dictate, just do their thing? Maybe that's, are we getting what we always wanted? And yet we're like, I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, here's, and you know what? Because I don't think Disney will ever really be able to functionally, just the way it's structured, it's too big. It's too big to not fail. It's a I don't think it'll ever be able to make really much that I consider like really good quality Star Wars. Yeah, maybe I'm voting for, maybe my vote's for Disney just stops actually on their own doing, like producing any and then just you could work with some people with AI to make some pretty like smooth flowing, like pretty realistic shorts, like visions. Um and then for the rest of it, just let YouTubers, yeah, or people, put their stuff up on YouTube using, and they'll pay Disney a little chunk of it, using the AI tools, and then just make that just becomes Star Wars. It's just fans now doing their own thing with the world, with the universe, with that IP. Um, I think that's the best. I think that's the best outcome. It feels a little depressing that it kind of, okay, let's just let the fans use AI to do their own thing. But honestly, any one of the AI videos I've watched, there was one recently, Django training the other clones. There was Luke, what is it, finding his green crystal. Dooku, a couple Dooku stories. I was more entertained by them, even knowing, oh wow, okay, yeah, there's some periods there that are quite AI with the mouth's not really moving great, or some jitteriness, and you got to cut away because it's probably starting to do something weird. If they didn't cut it to another angle. I was still enjoying them more, honestly, than probably basically anything Disney besides, like, yeah, like the Dooku Tales, the Jedi stories. Um, so yeah, I think that's, for me, probably where it's going, and that's maybe the best outcome, and maybe that's great. Maybe that's fine. Maybe that's just where all entertainment is going. I don't know. Apparently, Hollywood is like really kind of a ghost town now. I don't know if that's totally good. Like, obviously, Hollywood is still producing. There's still lots of like more streaming sites now than ever that make shows and original movies and things. Netflix and Apple and Prime and all those. So don't think it's completely, but I think in terms of just, they used to make, yeah, all the different. I haven't gone to a theater recently, but I feel like there's only like ever like two or three movies ever playing at a time for like months on end or something. I don't know. I don't know. Is it something like that? Maybe it's okay. We got enough movies, right? There's a lot of. I haven't seen all the good movies yet. There's still plenty of movies. Used to watch so many movies, and now I don't. So now it takes me a long time to get through my list of movies. I've been rewatching movies, which has been just as good. Watched Treasure Planet. Did I mention this last stream? Doesn't matter if I did. Watched Treasure Planet again recently. Got me tearing up. Ugh, that part at the end. Yeah, I've seen it a million times. I think I teared up the most this time. Like you experience it a little different every time. So it's like a new movie. Yeah, I don't know. Was there anything else that I put on my list of things I would discuss? No, I went through it. I went through it all. So, um, oh, hmm, I don't get the. Yeah, I think I think it's good that I'm not going, like, I'm not trying to be a Star Wars YouTuber, because I don't know. I don't know if if people would be too pleased with, because other ones that are critical of Disney, they still, they find some things to like, which helps with the haters, the people that don't like them, being like, "Oh, you're just negative always." I couldn't do that because I am negative always, you know. Uh, didn't disliked severely Rogue One. Don't know what it was so boring to me. It felt just like a Frankenstein mess. Like I think it was. I think they went and reshot a bunch of it. It was going to be more of like a war documentary movie or something, and then they changed a lot of it around. That shows to me because it felt very pieced together. It felt very like two different movies almost. Like it just whenever that happens, like Blade Runner. Whenever you hear about a lot of movies that ended up going through a lot of reshoots or a lot of behind the scenes issues, it makes sense to me. I see it. It just doesn't feel coherent. It doesn't feel like really flowing or connected in a way that's easy to watch for me. I think that was Rogue One. I didn't like any of that. People are like, "Oh, when you watch Andor, it makes Rogue One even better because then you get to know Andor or whatever." I'm like, I probably watched what, like, is it 3 or 4 hours of Andor season one? I didn't maybe got like liked Andor like 1% more or something. I didn't never felt connected to him after that show. I found him so bland, so boring, and that's the thing that upset some people. Because that's the thing. It's like Disney doesn't realize his people. The standards are not high. They're not high. It's like people liked Rogue One, and I thought it was so just bore myself to shit. Like it was just so desperately dull. You know, boring and tedious and desperately dull. Solo didn't see it. Force Awakens was offensive. It was the worst movie I'd ever seen until The Last Jedi. I just no I so I couldn't do a movie chat. I couldn't do a Star Wars thing. Star Wars YouTubers that do like like Thor Skywalker, he really likes Andor. So like he can be like, hey, I'm not a hater. Like it's just some stuff I don't like. Don't at me, Don't don't pillory me, Like don't put me in the stocks, you know. Don't put me in the, you know. Whereas I'd just be like, it all fucking sucks. It all sucks. I don't like it. Watch half of Tales of the Jedi. That's it. The one Ahsoka episode was okay. You know what I mean? I just played Battlefront 2. That's the thing. I would have sent so many people. I mean, Battlefront 2 now is popular, of course. No, everyone likes it. Okay, I liked it during the beta. Playing the beta over and over again. It was dope. It was just the one map, Naboo. I was in heaven, man. I was like, yeah, finally. Phantom Menace getting its due, But what was I saying? Yes, yeah, I wouldn't be able to be a strictly Star Wars YouTuber because I'd just be seen as too negative. I mean, maybe there are some that also don't really like anything from it, um, but yeah, but those channels also tend to be like a bit too negative for me, and a lot of those channels also tend to like not even like the prequels. They like just like the originals, and then they don't like anything that came after that. I'm like, that's a bit extreme for me. Any of the Lucas stuff, Clone Wars, prequels, any of the stuff done before 2012, it's pretty worth it to me, pretty solid. And the EU stuff before it, and the games and everything. Yeah. So don't know where yeah. But, although if I was just a Star Wars YouTuber, you know, my Star Wars video did quite well. My Star Wars still does well. It gets the engagement. But meh, not here for engagement. I'm here to be me, however that be, however that manifest. You know. Yeah, but I don't know. I really like. It's weird to me that all these projections of products and things. Say, like some people are like, oh, this movie will be coming out in like 2029. They'll finish the last Avatar movie in 2020 2035 or something. Or this car is scheduled to come out. This new whatever, whatever car scheduled to come out in 2029 or something. And I'm like, I don't, I don't know, man. Feels like so many things are just going to become obsolete in like 2 years. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna bring me into like I was thinking about next week, maybe talking about like the birth rate thing. Maybe that's what I'll do. I was thinking about talking about politics in general, like just like top stories or whatever. And maybe I'll do like the uh, uh existential risks. Yeah, existential risks. Especially the birth rate one. That one to me just feels like look how the world is. Why is it's amazing that anyone is still like, yeah, no, I think I feel confident to have a kid, to even just have to raise them for 20 years. You know what I mean? And then they can fend for themselves. But it's like 20, like I don't know. Maybe I'm watching too much stuff that is overblowing how things are going to change. But people are saying it like a lot of people say it's like it's not just like fringe people. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the mind blowing thing. A lot of going on mainstream outlets and podcasts and stuff being like, oh yeah, we have like 2 or 3 years before things like just we don't know what's going on. Everything's gonna be derailed and like imagine if World War III starts. I really don't want that. I really don't want that. Am I too old now to be enlisted, like to be drafted? Probably not. They'd make me shave the beard, I think, which would I'm going AWOL. I'm draft dodging if that is the case. Because this is not he's not going anywhere. All right. So you're gonna have to pry this from my cold dead hands. You know. Yeah. So yeah, no, but like seriously, like I know this is going a bit off topic, but I got 8 minutes left, and I got nothing else Star Wars related that comes to mind for me. So, um, even okay, I guess kind of. What were the recent games that came out? Really, it was only Battlefront. I play a lot of Galaxy of Heroes, but that's just because the way my work and life is set up that you know I need a game to stay addicted to while I do errands and mundane things. Okay, but no, it's not like it's got riddled with problems. But I do it free to play because I'm it's like geez, like there's enough. Most stuff is not free to play. I mean, it's not free to play really. It's free to observe, free to be, observe a passive observer. No, I don't know. It's tough. It's a grind. It's a real grind if you're free to play. Oh boy, let me tell you. People think other games are a grind. This is the grind of all grinds. Okay, anyway, yeah, I tried the new Skywalker Lego game. Just something missing from the old stuff. I know that the combos and stuff are more complex. Maybe when I was a kid. If I was a kid now, I'd be like, "You kidding me? It's so much more complex and intricate and interesting." But it's missing something. The levels are too short. I think that's it. Anyway, just things were just better back in the early like 2000. I'm gonna say 1999 because that also I think includes Phantom Menace. I think Matrix, Gladiator. Just like come on, you gotta 1999 to like 2005, maybe even like 2008. Yeah, that includes like The Dark Knight. Oh, best decade to be alive. Best decade in history. I'm putting it in there. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, everything sucks now. Everything just sucks. And then I have this obsession of needing to learn more about everything, about the world, and then it just makes me more depressed because it's like, wow, everything is just holding on by a thin. Everything is just built on lies and blackmail and deception and facades and illusions and smoke and mirrors and debt and uh, ugh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But seriously, World War III. People mentioned it. I'm like, probably because like things are gonna get. How can things not get destabilized? with the way things are going. Like, it's not sustainable. I know people have been saying that forever, so maybe I'm just saying what people have been saying forever, and we're all just gonna say this forever, but, it feels different this time. Maybe just 'cause I'm a certain age. Maybe back then people were saying it and it didn't feel this way. Maybe it did feel this way back then, and if it did feel this way back then in, like, 2005, 2010, then fine. I guess this nothing's changed, right? Nothing will change. But it feels different. I swear it feels different. Yeah. Would I be forced to wonder what the cutoff is? Because if you're still able-bodied, which I generally am, although I have this weird permanent like shin problem when I jump too much on hard floors. Volleyball, I can't do indoor volleyball anymore. My shin. From a soccer incident where I just connected legs, like I didn't even think we really hit each other's shins that hard. And then now I have a permanent shin injury. God, getting older, I tell you. Sucks. But like, would that really, I can still run. I can still move. It's like I'm trying to sell myself as being enlisted. I don't. I'd probably talk up my shin injury if they were trying to enlist me. But yeah, would you have to draft? You'd have to draft people, I think, because militaries everywhere are struggling to get recruitment because people, there's more stuff you can do now. I mean, like, porn and video games, for example. What do I have to say? Corn and video games. So I hate that. We know what we're talking about. Corn and video games are definitely more fun than war. They kind of hit the receptors, kind of hit the brain the same way. Yeah, I know they're proxies for really living, but I think is war really living? I don't think so. I don't think so. Some people think it's exciting for a bit. Honestly, for the people that war gives meaning to, you can find meaning as a civilian. You just maybe got to change. Like for the people that are like, I got to go back do another tour of whatever war because life is so boring here now. It's like to me, it's kind of like you've just been eating chocolate cake for too long. You need to cut it out and then your brain will go back down to baseline. And then when you try it again, it'll feel too sweet. If you don't eat sugar for long enough, then even like things that aren't really sweet taste sweet. That's kind of what you got to do with being in a war zone. You got to probably work through the PTSD as well, but you got to like let your brain get back down to you don't need to be constantly afraid of getting your head blown off to find purpose in things. You can find purpose in other things. Some people are like, I'm too bored just laying around. It's like, I don't know. How about work on, connecting with the divine consciousness that pervades the whole universe, or just like work on being a better person and keep making more friends, keep helping out and being of service to people and donating and charity and volunteering. You can find purpose. Okay, you don't need to go to a war. So I never understood that. I don't get that, but yeah, World War III would be a real bummer. I'm not looking forward to it. If it just feels so antiquated. We're over it. I'm over it. Okay, war is stupid. We all know it's stupid at this point. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's why recruitment is down. Back in the day, there was less to do, and the plebs just didn't know that war sucked. It was harder to. Now, all us plebs here, this time of modernity, know that it sucks. So yeah, and I don't think the army necessarily pays all that great. It's that kind of thing. It's like you did get a lot of them get disabled, like they get hurt in a lot of ways, not just in war, not just in active duty, just other accidents. And it's like, okay, yeah, you get benefits, but it's like, no, you get the benefits because they need to include the benefits because you could really hurt yourself easily, I'm going off topic here. This turn from Star Wars to actual war discussion. That's fine, I guess. But we're almost at the hour. Definitely sticking with an hour. Shit. Hour and a half last time. Woo, what am I doing to myself? What am I doing? Masochist. Well, anyway, for what it's worth, thanks, Paula, 1966, for asking the question. Sorry, I noticed it too late, I think. And then you were like waiting, and it's like, okay, yeah. So, what do you think? You gonna get to my question or what? Shit, so my bad. Still getting used to this whole thing. I'm gonna try and notice it earlier, these things, but yeah. Anyway, well, that's the live stream, Star Wars live stream, and I'll see you around, I'm sure. Peace. Yeah.